So in this next video, I'm just going to start basically tweaking some of the properties we've got here to try and get the explosion to look more like I would like it. One of the things I would suggest when you start playing around, you sim it out and then you think, oh, it could be a bit hotter, it could be going a bit faster, maybe I need more vorticity. I'd be wary of going around and changing the temperature, changing the speed, and then changing the vorticity, and then re-simming it. I find that sometimes when you change a lot of parameters at once, it can have quite a big effect and change the sim completely, and not necessarily in the way you want. And then you'll end up going back and going, oh, what was it that made it go like that? I'm not really sure. And you basically, it can get away with you a little bit if you start changing all the parameters once. So I would recommend that change one parameter, give it a quick sim. I mean, you don't have to sim it all the way through. For these videos, I've been simming them all for a good 100 frames, but you can generally get the gist after 40 or 50 frames of whether it's doing the thing you want it to do. And at the moment with my low res, let's find my file. I've got it somewhere, bear with me. Sorry, I paused it there while I found my cache file. The first, say, 40 frames of this cache, let's go up to 50. So it started at 10 to 11, and at frame 50 it was 10:58. So it only takes 8 minutes to do the first 50 frames. It gets a lot slower as you go through, obviously, because the sim gets bigger. And you can generally get the gist of what's happening. Obviously, if you change some parameters, they affect other ones, and it's not as simple as just changing one thing at a time. Sometimes you get weird results regardless, but it's quite a good workflow just to sort of be quite systematic. And I'm changing this, give it a quick sim, oh, it does that. What if I add this to it, it does that, and it just keeps you in a bit more control of what's happening. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've done that sort of workflow. I've gone through and made changes, and I've simmed it out, and I've gone back and I've changed it. And rather than working through that whole process here where I make a change, sim it, pause the video, come back 40, 50 minutes later if I'm simming out the whole thing, I've gone through and done all that, and I've done play blasts for each section. So when we left it, we had it was this one here. So that was with the vorticity without any modulate on it. I've now done one where I've added the modulate, and I actually decided I was trying to make more smoke. So I dropped my let me just open this, not my source air, sorry, in my fuel. I dropped my oxygen percentage to 0.9 from 1, and then I got this, which isn't a massive amount of difference. So as you can see, so then I went back in and I dropped my source fuel to 0.8, and we can open up that one. And let's bring us back. So that's at 0.9. That's the only other change, and this is now at 0.8. So you can see still it's a bit different. We're getting a bit more sort of smoke coming in, but still not massive amounts. So then I thought, well, actually, maybe I should perhaps change my temperature a bit and make it sort of hotter at one end and colder at the other. So I went in, and my vary for source temp, I changed that to to 300 in the min and 1000 in the max. And as a result of that, I went in and changed my modulate. So I said that anything over 800 would have full vorticity applied, and anything under 300 would have no vorticity applied. And we got this video here. I slightly changed the angle on that one, so let's have a look at the difference between that and 8. So we've got, that's at 8, and then that's at 8, but with the temperature change. There's still not much difference. It's sort of getting more, a little bit more. I think that adding of the temperatures making it go a little bit quicker and a little bit more violent. So oh, I think as well, just sorry, I forgot, I changed, oops, what's happened there? Done a weird thing with my Windows. I also changed my, on this one, let's get rid of this, I changed my source fuel. I made that 0.11 for this one here. So that one there is that, and then that one here is that one. So that was just 0.8. I modified the temperature and I modified the source fuel to be a 0.11. So we're getting a little bit more intense burn. Then I thought it's still not quite what I want, so I upped the source fuel burn rate to 1.2, and I put my oxygen level up to 0.9 again. So I'm just playing around with the settings, seeing what I'm going to get. So then we've got, this is at 0.12 in the burn rate and 0.9 in the oxygen percentage. So we've had, that was the previous iteration, and then we've got this one. So it's a bit more violent, we're getting a bit more curl, getting a sort of bit more smoke going in there. It's still not quite a lot of smoke, I'd like a bit more. So then I went down here to my combustion settings, and I haven't done a lot of experimenting with the soot properties, but the soot formation rate is a multiplier of the soot formation, I think. So look. Yep, scaling factor applied to the rate of soot formation to increase or lower the amount of soot being produced. So I put that to 0.2, like so. And then, so if we look at my last one, which is that one, and then this is the same settings apart from putting in the soot to 2. And I'm sort of getting quite, you know, a bit more smoke in here. And you can see quite nicely in this one that the modulation on the velocities, it's sort of, it does get less on the smoke as it cools down, which avoids it sort of going into a sort of noisy mist. And then finally, which is the last change I've done, I thought to myself that maybe it's just going a bit too quickly. So I went into my speed direction, and I changed my values here. So my min values, well, my max values, I changed them to 3 and 3 here. I brought down the Y, so the X, Y, and Z, so it going up, I brought it down to 1. So I'm trying to force it more out to the sides and less going up, and I put the min down to, I put those to 3 as well, like that, and I put that down to 0.5. So, and then, so that was my previous one, is that right? Yep, soot form rate. And then this final one, I got that, which I'm getting this smoke being pushed out. Getting quite a lot of nice smoke. If you compare it to what's going on here, it's just sort of going more up. So getting more of this. So it's actually not going as high as well now, which is good in the sense that the higher you usually go up, the more your file cache will be. And you can see I'm getting a lot more smoke, which is good. So that's where I've got to at the moment. I'm probably going to leave it like that. I think I'm quite happy with those. But as you can see, I mean, you can, let's have a look at the first one to my last one, which I think was, let's do that one. So this is my first iteration of change to my last iteration. You see we had that, and now I've got that, which has got more. And you know, it's not massively different, but you know, it's tweaking these. I'm getting more smoke in there. My angle here, I'm not quite happy with the sort of shape of it, if I'm honest, but I can probably sort of, you know, if I move the camera around it, I might be able to find a nicer view. So that's where I am. I'm gonna maybe, I think I'm just going to sim that out all the way through, and then when we come back, I'll talk about rendering.